Yes, it is. Well, we're going to start in just a few seconds here as we are right up against the top of the hour and want to get you started on time and appreciate you all being here. So a couple things just to keep in mind. If you have questions throughout, put it in the Q&A function. So if you have questions, please put it in the Q&A. We will cover a lot of material, and then at the last portion of this webinar, we will review the Q&A and get to any questions that were not covered. So again, feel free to put them in there as the questions arise, but we will be answering those questions at the conclusion of the webinar so that we can get through all the material that we have prepared for you. So we are officially going to begin. Welcome to the Prep for the Virtual Fair webinar brought to you by the UCLA Career Center. My name is Jordan Manis. I'm one of the program directors, particularly emphasizing early engagement, which is where I get excited about seeing students who are new to campus diving into our program and services. But I am excited about all of you joining us today to learn more about the upcoming virtual fairs and how to prepare yourself for success. So we're excited that you're here. And we're going to cover a lot of material, so get your note-taking devices ready. And again, we are recording this, so it will be on our YouTube page eventually. So if you miss some of the material, you'll have a chance to get to it later on. So let's start with the most important question. What is a career fair? Some of you may be new to the virtual career fair format, as it's definitely something of the times right now. It will be anticipated about 80 to 90 employers at our two larger career fairs, but as you know, we have many career fairs with a variety of industries and an opportunity for you all to meet with them, and they're eager to meet with you. So when these employers sign up for the career fair, they are really excited to engage with Bruins. They are doing it intentionally. So it's an awesome opportunity for you. And part of learning about what a career fair is learning why should one attend one? And many of you are thinking, well, it's obvious, a career fair, a career and internship fair, you're going there to get a job or an internship. And yes, that is part of the goal. But some of you may be just simply looking to expand your network. Maybe you're looking to practice your interpersonal skills, your personal pitch. And others of you, and especially students who are younger, first or second year students, I highly encourage you all to attend the fair simply to explore what careers exist and a chance to talk to some people and learn about different industries that maybe you've never heard about, different roles and different positions. With the virtual career fairs, what you'll have is an opportunity to either meet one-on-one with a company representative for 10 minutes, or there will be group slots where you'll have a chance to be in a group session with other students and the company representative slash recruiter, and those are 30 minutes. There are benefits to obviously getting one-on-one time, and there are certainly benefits sometimes to being in a group and listening to some of the other questions, maybe taking some of the pressure off yourself, but both are valuable. And whether or not a company has decided to offer a one-on-one session or one-on-one sessions or 30-minute group sessions is completely up to them. So you will see when you log into Handshake and click on the career fair exactly what they are offering. Okay, so just as a quick recap, and I'm going to stop and pause right now because we are just at the very beginning. I'm going to check the Q&A and see where the recording will be posted. Yes, so okay, so it will be on our YouTube channel, Career Center YouTube channel, and you will find that very easily with a Google search, and obviously you will find Career Center, UCLA Career Center YouTube, and you will find that. Okay, so moving along, and again, because we have so much to cover, I will be getting to the Q&A at the end of the material. I just did want to stop right there and make sure that everything was working from a tech standpoint, which it appears to be doing well. Okay, so here we go. Before the career fair, a lot you can do to prep for the virtual career fair. Number one, research participating companies and organizations. We'll get into more of that in a minute, but that's the most important thing. Taking some time to look at who's going to be there. And you can find out who's going to be there well in advance. In fact, if you go into Handshake right now, click on career fairs and click on the career fair that you're interested in attending, you will see the list of employers who have currently signed up. And that number keeps growing every single day. So you can do some research, learn about who will be there, learn about their mission statement, learn about their competitors, see if they've been in the news lately. It's a good idea just to get a little bit familiar with each company that you plan to talk to. Then you can go in and schedule the one-on-one or group sessions. You'll do that through the Handshake platform or the Hire platform, which is used for some of our other career fairs. Now, how you get to those platforms, again, everything's through Handshake. So don't worry about it. Once you log into Handshake, you click on the career fair, you will see the button to register, and then you'll see how to register for one-on-one or group sessions. Very intuitive. You're going to prepare your elevator pitch before you go, and we'll get into that, but it's super important to be able to introduce yourself in a concise, captivating, compelling way that feels like you have represented yourself well, told your story. You all have unique stories that you can be very proud of, but how you tell your story is super important. And we'll talk about some suggestions about that a little bit later in today's program. Ensure that you have professional attire, even though it's a virtual career fair. Engaging with these professionals, wearing either business casual or business professional, and making a good first impression, like, is very important. And we'll talk about what that means in a moment. Having your resume ready to go, uploaded on Handshake, setting the function in Handshake, the share function, so that it can be reviewed and seen by employers or other folks. Your profile needs to be set to be seen by employers or the community, meaning even some of your peers. That way you'll be ready to go and ready to share. And then you can prepare questions to ask for recruiters. Very important to have some questions, some thoughtful questions ready to go. And we'll talk about what thoughtful questions are. And then some of the questions that maybe you could easily have gotten from a quick Google search, maybe not using those. Okay, so the virtual platforms we've partnered up, Handshake has partnered up. Obviously, we've partnered up with Handshake. You know about Handshake, but there's something called Hire for these 3 additional fairs that we're talking about. There's slightly different ways of engaging with a virtual career fair, and so learning the differences is important. But luckily for you, we have a ton of amazing resources already ready for you: videos, handouts, infographics. All you got to do is go into Handshake, click on the career fair that you're interested in, and immediately you will see a plethora of great resources of how to get the most out of that fair, how to understand the platform. So we're not going to reinvent the wheel today and show you those videos or those infographics. You can go into Handshake today and find those very easily, and review them. I highly, highly encourage you to do that. We'll talk about a lot of the things that are in those handouts today during today's program, but to get the most out of them, you should look at them on your own time in detail. So when you're researching the companies and organizations, again, you can log into Handshake to see who's coming. So you will not be surprised at who's coming, but do keep looking each day, because more companies are continuing to sign up for the virtual fairs, even up to a couple days in advance of the fair. So keep checking back. Look at their website, kind of learn about their mission statement, their products, their competitors. Again, current news. Is there anything that they're doing that is relevant and recent? Because if you bring that up in a conversation, it can look like you've done your homework, which is really important. But it can also show that you're really intrigued by the organization and why it's a good fit for you. A lot of times a mission statement of a company is a good match for you and your mission statement or your values. And that's why you might want to work for them. And that's a very compelling reason, in addition to having some of the skills that they're looking for. Okay, so look at the jobs and internships that they have available. Each company that's coming might have a different set of jobs or internships available right now. And then make a list of questions you want to ask them. Again, we'll talk about that in more detail coming up. And then consider whether you need multiple versions of your resume. What this means is if you're applying to different roles within the same organization or different roles across different industries, a lot of times a targeted resume is going to help you. So you'll have a different targeted resume for each job you're applying for, especially if they're quite distinct in terms of what they're looking for in terms of skills and experiences. Here's something I highly recommend, which is creating some sort of spreadsheet or organizational system where you are writing down, okay, what company am I going to go talk to? Which recruiter are they sending? And if that information is available to you, have you done your research on LinkedIn to find out, who are these people? Are they Bruins? Some will be. What did they study? What's their background? You might find that knowing a little bit about them before you meet with them helps reduce your anxiety, but also gives you some talking points. And it will be really impressive to the recruiter that you've done that research it won't seem weird or stocky in any way. Think about the positions available, jot those down. Application materials that they're requiring. Again, it may be something like a resume and a cover letter, maybe something a little bit different. You just need to do your research and find out. And then how do they want you to follow up, or how do you intend to follow up? Either going through their application, sending an email, connecting on LinkedIn. And we'll talk about getting that, finding out exactly the best way to follow up a little bit later. And then questions, thinking about some of the questions. How does your recruiting process work precisely? Or what is the exact timeline? What does a typical career ladder look like? What personal qualities or qualities in successful interns in the past have you noticed? Those are great questions to ask, and they're really good conversation starters, but they'll also illuminate whether or not this is a good fit for you. And if you're just doing some exploration and you're not on the job or internship hunt yet, this will give you a nice little blueprint in terms of what experiences and skills you need to acquire by the next time you go to a virtual career fair and are ready to look for and obtain a job or internship. If you're just joining us, by the way, put your questions in the Q&A if they pop up. We're going to cover a lot of material, and at the end, I'll go through the Q&A and see if there's any questions that we didn't cover, but we're going to do that at the end. And then make some notes. What are some things that you're going to do? Maybe this company, Accenture, is coming for an info session where they're going to come and talk about their company on the 17th. And so you want to attend that. And you'll find out about that through Handshake under the events column. So maybe make a note of that. Think about other things that maybe Deloitte, that Jane said, hey, you should discuss potential alumni connections. There's a lot of Bruins working for our company. You should contact them. Okay, thank you, Jane, for that great piece of advice. Make a note that that's what you're going to do on your little spreadsheet, and then you're well organized and ready for success. Okay, so again, questions you can ask. There's several of them you can ask. There's not a bad question per se, but if it's an obvious answer, something you could have figured out with a very quick Google search, then that's not going to leave a very good impression. So questions like, what does your company do? I mean, unless there's this tiny microscopic startup that doesn't even have a website, there's probably a good chance that you could figure out what the company does just by doing a Google search. Even if it's 5 minutes before your meeting, though I don't recommend that. I do recommend you do your research beforehand. So instead of questions like that, start asking questions about, like, how do students get started in this field? Or what are some things they can do in college that would really set me apart for when I'm graduating and hoping to work for your organization? Again, how does your recruiting process work? What kinds of training or experiences would set me ahead in this field? Or what types of training and professional development opportunities does your organization offer your employees or interns? What do you like about working for this company? That's a great question. So if you tuned out, come back here and really listen to this part, because if you get the person talking about themselves, then that's going to relax the conversation a little bit. It's also going to help them reveal some things to you about themselves, which then maybe is an opportunity for you to connect with them. Maybe they say, I was really nervous the first time I went to a career fair. And then you say, wow, I'm so glad you said that, because I'm feeling really nervous right now. And then they might say, don't worry about it, it's okay. And then you just start having the conversation, and it starts to feel more like a conversation and less like some sort of formal process. So anyway, getting them to talk about themselves, but asking them questions about them related to their career and working for that organization. Because ultimately what you're trying to do in these discussions is figure out if you're a good fit for the organization and the position, and also sell yourself a bit to the organization, the recruiter, so that they start to think you're a good fit. And then, would you be willing to share your contact information so I may follow up with you? Or what's the best way to follow up with you? Can I find you on LinkedIn? Or I reached out to you already on LinkedIn. I hope that's okay. Whatever you want to say. Or can I have your business card or email address, obviously in a virtual format? Just asking them what's the best way to stay in touch with them is a great idea, because you're going to want to follow up later on. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Couple considerations for my international students out there. Obviously, the U.S. work authorization. There will be companies attending that do not require U.S. work authorization. And so you can find that out prior to arriving to the virtual career fair. Learning about CPT and OPT, I'm sure you're well versed in this already, but it's definitely worth a visit to the Dash U Center or a virtual meeting or a call, so that you can feel like you really know the latest and most up-to-date information about CPT and OPT. We offer a lot of workshops here at the Career Center, virtual workshops that cover that information as well. So I encourage you to take advantage of those workshops. Look at our events in Handshake, and you will see the upcoming workshops relevant to you. Professional attire. So most of you understand this now, but if you're trying to think about what to wear, you typically want to dress for the level that you're hoping to get into, the organization and the culture, but you may not know that. For example, there are certainly, investment banking is a very professional culture, and so you'd want to do business professional, whereas maybe an advertising agency might be a little bit, or a startup might be a little bit more laid back, and therefore you might want to dress in business casual. Even if people every single day go to their job, or when they were working physically in an office, or at home, they're in t-shirts, that's fine, but you don't work for them yet. So you're not going to be necessarily in a t-shirt at a virtual career fair. You're going to want to try to step it up a little bit. And of course, if you don't have the means or the resources, do your very best. It's understandable. You can always call it out if you need to, and say, I apologize that I don't have more formal attire at this time, but I was so interested in your organization, I felt it was still worth it to come here and meet with you and have our virtual interaction. And you can call it out like that. But again, I do think everybody has, I should say most everybody has an opportunity to step it up a little bit or a lot. And it's your first chance and only chance to make a first impression. So do your best. So what do you do during the career fair? So during the virtual career fair, there's some really important things about being present, so paying attention, not being distracted by your phone or something else, having a quiet place where you have good lighting, good sound, not going to be interrupted, good internet connection. Leave a positive first impression, having that personal pitch and looking very professional, looking very prepared. And then what is an elevator pitch? We'll talk about that. That's an old term about, like, if you got into an elevator and you only had about 20 or 30 seconds and you turn to your right and you recognize that that's somebody from the organization that you want to work for, and you really want to make a quick impression, but he or she is about to get off the elevator in 30 seconds, what would you say? So that's where that term comes from. Other people call it a personal pitch, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. So hang tight. So being present at the fair, what does that mean? Okay. During your virtual space and time, this is important. Actively engage in this process, make strong connections with the employers. This is your chance to meet with them, to really show them and talk to them about what you have overcome in your life, or some of the great accomplishments you've had, and why you think some of the skills that you've developed, and you all have skills, you all absolutely have skills, why you think those skills are useful to the organization, how you could contribute. So find a comfortable space. Again, minimal interruptions. I know not everybody has, a perfect quiet office that they can be in, but if you tell your roommates, or you tell your family that this is very important that you not be interrupted for the next period of time, that's going to go a long ways, because you want to be present and engaged. Schedule your day so you can optimize the time you spend at the fair. Back to back to back to back to back engagements is going to wear you out. I don't recommend that. Do your best to schedule some downtime in between, to take some notes, to get some water, to whatever you need to do, meditate, to get into a place where the next engagement you are refreshed and ready to go again. So be careful about how you schedule your day. Be punctual. This is your first impression. If you're late, that doesn't look good. So really do your best to be on time. Reliable Wi-Fi connection, that's important. And then everything charged up, and then have your materials ready to go. If you're going to have an opportunity to share something, or share your screen, or email them right away with your resume, be ready in real time with all of that, so that you're prepared. So a positive first impression. I mean, you can think about this. Right away, you meet somebody new, and there are people who make a positive first impression. There are people who do the opposite of that, and it doesn't take long. And don't forget that a lot of your impression on people is left by your non-verbal communication. And so again, having a smile on your face, looking energized, even if you're so tired that it took you 6 cups of Starbucks to get going, whatever it takes to leave a first impression that's positive is really important. Now, I'm not saying don't be yourself, because there are people who are a little more shy, a little less outgoing. That's okay. but it doesn't hurt to smile, in fact, even if you just smile when you're not really feeling happy, you have probably done this before. You just put on a smile, and after a few minutes, if you can hold it for that long, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, you start to feel better. And there's a lot of neuroscience behind that. I'm not going to get into that right now, but putting on a smile and making a good first impression, very important. Also, speaking up, tone, rate of speech, using your best proper grammar, all very important to leaving a first impression that is positive. Let's talk about your personal brand. So your personal brand is going to be on display at these virtual career fairs. How you dress, your background, what you say about yourself, the questions you ask, how interested you seem to be, how polite you are. That's all part of your personal brand. A lot of people say that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And that's true. It certainly is. So when you're no longer in the room and the virtual space is done, what are those people going to be thinking about you, particularly the recruiter? What is he or she going to think about you? What are they going to remember? Wow, that person was really professional. That person seemed very thoughtful. That person seemed very passionate. What do you want them to be saying about you once they're no longer in your presence? And then do your best to communicate that brand while you are in their presence. So we'll talk more about this. We have all kinds of information about developing your personal brand, lots more workshops about it. For the purposes of the virtual career fair, I think the most important thing to set the tone for your personal brand will be your personal pitch. And that, again, is your introduction to who you are, what you've accomplished, what you've studied, and why you think you might be a good fit for the organization that you're in discussions with. So here's an anatomy of an elevator pitch. And we say about 30 seconds is good. Now, in different situations, you can read the room. Maybe you'll have longer than that. Maybe you'll have shorter than that. Certainly in an interview situation, you could probably go longer than that. But in these types of situations, in a virtual career fair situation, I would try to aim for about 30 seconds. If it's a one-on-one, maybe 30 to 60 seconds. You can go to the go-to, which is the name, class, year, major. That's easy, right? I mean, it's the first thing you introduce yourself in a class, usually, or in a Zoom meeting. People say, what's your name, what's your class, what year are you? That's a great introduction. That's fine. But then we got to go a little bit further when we're in a virtual career fair. What we want to do is talk about what you bring to the table. So maybe some of your most relevant experiences at UCLA or outside of UCLA, something you've achieved that you're proud of, and then some of the strengths that you have. A natural leader, extremely a great creative problem solver, excellent communication skills. So all those types of things you can start to talk about. And then the ask. So you wrap up a personal pitch usually with an ask. So maybe a question that you want to know more about, or perhaps there's something that you were thinking might be a good fit between you and the organization, but you want to get their feedback. So I'll give you some examples of that ask in a minute. So there's an example that's up on the screen there. And by the way, again, if you're just joining us, we are going to do the Q&A at the end. So go ahead, feel free to put your questions now, but we're going to cover a lot of content. Most likely we'll cover most of your questions, but if you still have some at the end, we'll take a look at the Q&A and answer those questions. So hello, my name is Bella Bruin. It's very nice to meet you. So that's a nice positive way to say hello. I'm heading into my junior year. I've just begun my junior year at UCLA as an English major. However, I've gathered a lot of professional experience in computer sales and I'm looking for a job in that field. So calling it out like, look, I'm an English major, and this is very common. I mean, most statistics will show you about 3/4 of people go into a career fair not directly related to their undergraduate major. So it's very common that you pick up some transferable skills within your major, but it's your experiences outside the classroom that help to drive your career and life goals. And also mentorship and networking, which we can talk about at a later point. So she's interested in computer sales. She's got an English degree she's working on. This past summer, she talks about a specific experience, probably a highlight of her experience, sales experience with Dell. I've also been active in getting my friend's small computer business off the ground over the past 2 years. So that's a nice little side thing she's been doing. And then after researching your company, so she shows that she's done her homework, I saw that you recently expanded your product line to include wireless communication services. Great job by this young lady to have done her research. And then that leads into the ask. I'm really excited by the recent innovations in wireless services and would love to hear more about what you're doing in that area and learning about what kinds of jobs or internship positions you have available. So there's the ask. Or she could close it if she already knows that they're looking for jobs and internships in that area. She could say, and I'm excited to learn more about some of the characteristics of your most successful interns in the past and what you're looking for in the next group of interns. And so that opens up a nice conversation. She gave a little bit of her background. The recruiter can then dig deeper and say, oh, tell me more about what it was like working for Dell, or what is it like, tell me more about your friend's small computer business, what skills did you learn by doing that work? So that's a great elevator pitch, a nice little sample. What I want you to do is I want you to write your own, and I want you to think about things about your background that you would highlight in a short 30-second elevator pitch. And think about things also from your personal background that might communicate to a possible employer why you're interested in the field or how you're a good fit. For example, maybe you grew up in New York City in a big family. I love, big organizations, high energy organizations. It's just what I'm used to growing up in New York City, being from a big family. So there's a nice opening. That's not me, by the way. That's just an example of what you might say. So that might be an opening if you are talking to a huge corporation, a representative from a huge corporation. And right off the bat, you're saying, like, I think we're a good fit because culturally we're a match. And then you can talk about some of your experiences in student organizations or a past internship or your major and how that has also helped prepare you. Or maybe you grew up, your mom was a production assistant or a director for the film industry, and you've just always had the entertainment industry in your DNA. That's an okay introduction. And then you can talk about what you studied and what other experiences you've picked up to help prepare you for the entertainment industry, assuming you're talking to an organization within the entertainment industry. So I think you're starting to see how you can pick up some parts of your personal background as well as your educational and professional experiences that will help you sell yourself in a personal pitch. And it says practice makes progress. You're not going to nail it the first time. So practice with your friends, record yourself on your phone, and really start to get it out in a natural way. It's okay if the first few times you're kind of thinking, what am I saying? You're trying to memorize it. Eventually it will be easier. Um, and then, think about a couple different things too. If the recruiter or the people you're talking to seem to have tuned you out, and it seems like you're going on too long, you might want to cut it down in the moment. And you just have to read your audience, know your audience. So that's really important. And then always, write notes. It's totally fine to be taking notes during your interaction, whether it's a group session or a one-on-one. If you joined us a little late, you'll have those options, whether or not you want to go into a group meeting with the recruiter in the virtual fair or a one-on-one. But it's totally okay to be taking notes or typing up some notes and just saying, I'm taking notes. I hope it doesn't look too distracting. I just really want to remember some of these important facts that you're sharing with us. Speaking of important facts, I mentioned this a few times, but please put your questions in the Q&A and we will get to them at the end after we get through the content. I want to make sure we have enough time to get through the content, and we'll probably cover most of your questions during this time anyway. So after the career fair, big mistake that a lot of students make is they don't follow up. So this is not going to happen to you. You are going to be one of those great elite students who follows up. So if they said, the next steps is you've got to go to our website and use our platform to apply, make sure you do that. Or they might say, definitely apply through Handshake. That's the only place you need to go. Okay. Send a thank you, definitely thanking them for their time for meeting with you. And you can do that through email or LinkedIn, or you can even, if you have excellent penmanship and there's not a big rush before they make any hiring decisions, you could still do a handwritten thank you note. And that is a classy move and appropriate at times. Check Handshake to see if companies are hosting information sessions. An information session, if you haven't attended one, the company simply will tell you all about their organization, what positions they hire for, and what the steps are to be hired. And those information sessions are free for you to attend. I highly recommend you attend them. You can click on events in Handshake and see the upcoming information sessions. It's a great way, again, to get in front of company representatives, learn more about them. Very, very important that you do so. And don't feel any pressure. If you just want to attend and learn and not apply, that's okay too. And then start preparing for your interviews. Assuming you're going to get interviews, think positive, that's going to happen. How do you prepare for virtual interviews? The best way is to use something called Interview Stream. It's completely free. It's available through Handshake. You click on the Career Center tab and under Resources, and I'll show you these again. Interview Stream. It allows you to practice virtual interviews for particular industries and have those virtual interviews recorded. So it's pre-recorded people asking you the question. So you can answer them just like it's a real person in front of you obviously through your computer, and it will record it. And then you can watch it and send it to other people who you want feedback. Okay, thank you email. This is a great way to demonstrate that you are paying attention, show your initiative and appreciation. So it says, hello, Mr. Minnick. Thanks again for the opportunity to meet with you at the UCLA Engineering and Tech Fair on October 17th. I also appreciate getting to know a fellow Upsilon Pi Epsilon member. So there's something that they had in common. It was great learning about your vision for the future of web development. And I believe my experience studying and coding HTML5 with modern web design standards would make me a great fit for DataWorks. As you requested, I have attached my resume to this email for your consideration. I would love to connect regarding a potential career with DataWorks and look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thanks again for your time. Best regards, Bella Bruin. So that's a great sample thank you that really highlights some of the conversation points, some of the things they had in common, but shows enthusiasm, but is concise and appreciative. If you just joined us or you've joined us a little late at the very beginning, I asked that you go to this attendance form so that we can know that you were here. So do us a big favor right now, just jump online, go to this site. It takes no more than 15 seconds and let us know that you attended this program. We're not done yet, but this is just kind of a reminder. You'll select from the drop-down menu, virtual career or prepping for the virtual fair, October 8th. That's this program. So that's the one you'll select and just fill in the other fields very quickly. And again, https://tinyurl.com/fall20cc. Okay. And if you need that again at the end, we can always bring it up, but hopefully you've had a chance to already do that. Okay, let's keep rolling. You guys are doing fantastic. Y'all are awesome for joining and taking the time to help prepare yourself for whatever fair you attend coming up. The virtual fairs are amazing opportunities. So one of the things I wanted to tell you about is some of the other virtual experiences you can take advantage of through the Career Center. Everyone's journey is different, and we want to help you on your journey. And the virtual career fair may be an amazing day for you, something that you remember forever. It was the time that you met this one person who got you the internship, and it all led to a brilliant future. But for others of you, maybe the career fair doesn't bear as much fruit as you hoped, and you'll want some more support after that. So know that we're still here for you. It's not all about just the virtual fairs. So some of the things that you can take advantage of, first of all, Handshake, you already know this, but you got to take advantage of Handshake. The more you use it, the more it becomes your virtual job search assistant. It starts recommending events, jobs, internships for you, and it becomes like a friend out there looking for opportunities for you and supporting your career journey. So please log into Handshake, make it a habit to do it daily. Also, we have virtual career advising. We do have 30-minute one-on-one appointments. If you're really just lost and there's something that you feel like you really have tried so many different ways of getting clarity on what you want, and you just haven't, please make an appointment with one of our career educators, and you do that through Handshake. If you have a quicker question, just like, wow, I'd like some tips on finding jobs or internships, or I'd like my resume or cover letter reviewed, then our virtual drop-in sessions are really the ideal place for you. And those are Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So prior to the virtual career fair, maybe you'd like to have your resume reviewed. We do have something called VMock, which I'll talk about in a moment, which is a system that you can upload your resume and get feedback. And I think it's fantastic, and it's a great starting point. So I recommend using VMock. It's also in the resources section of Handshake. But you can also have a virtual drop-in with one of our career educators or career peers and get a 15-minute resume review, or get some job search tips, or get your cover letter reviewed. So please use our drop-ins. Again, if you have, maybe more of a career counseling question where you really want to dive a little deeper or take some career assessments, then the virtual career advising 30-minute appointments are probably more ideal for you. We post those every Friday for the following 2 weeks out. Our events and workshops, please take advantage of workshops like this to help prepare you. Again, if you joined late, if you click on events and click on the career fair you're interested in, for example, the Hire UCLA Fair on October 14th, there's a bunch of great videos and infographics and info sheets about how to successfully attend a virtual career fair. So everything we talked about today, but even in greater detail. So please take a look at those resources. But again, events and workshops are happening all the time to help you with your career and life designing process. And it is a process, but it takes engagement from you. Employer information sessions, we talked about a whole bunch, but it's a great way to learn about careers that maybe you haven't heard about, or meet company representatives. So it's not just the virtual career fair as your opportunity to interact with employers. We have employer information sessions happening throughout the year, though a bulk of them happen during fall quarter. So jump on Handshake and look under events. On-campus recruiting, obviously they're not coming to campus right now, but those interviews that are conducted virtually, again, practicing your interviewing abilities through something called Interview Stream, which I'll show you on a slide in a moment, is very important. Or you can sign up for a virtual career advising appointment and go through a mock interview with one of our career educators. Articles and digital resources, great amount of information, especially in these times that are constantly changing, COVID-19 times. You can take a look at the articles and digital resources available on our website. So you can go to career.ucla.edu to learn about a lot of the articles, and then digital resources within Handshake. I'll show you those on the next slide. But please, there's so much information out there. I really want you to take advantage so you really feel best prepared on your career and life journey, especially during these unique times that are continuously changing day by day, it seems. Okay, and if you didn't hear my announcement before, please put your questions in the Q&A, and we'll get to those here at the end, as I will definitely be saving time to go over some of those questions if I didn't get to the answers already. But this is an important slide not to overlook. So please, online resources within Handshake, we have a bunch of them. So if you haven't heard of VMock yet, you can log into Handshake, click on the Career Center tab and the Resources tab, and you will see VMock, which is detailed feedback on your resume content and format anytime, anywhere, 24/7. Just get in there, upload it, you get your feedback, and it's a great starting point to figure out whether or not your resume is designed well, professional, has great content, all of that. So use VMock. VMock is a great service. It's totally free, totally free. So please, everyone after this webinar, so jump on VMock. So again, it's within Handshake. Go through Handshake and you'll have free access. If you haven't heard of Parker Dewey or Forage yet, I mean, these are great micro internship listings. A micro internship is a great way to get some experience, maybe a 6-hour project where you might be doing some competitor research for an organization, or you might be doing some sort of social media project. There's a lot of different things that these companies know they need, projects they need help with, that don't necessarily require 5 years of experience yet. They know college students are more than capable of doing them. So you can go into Parker Dewey and Forage. They're listed through Handshake in our resources section, and take a look at some of these opportunities. If you want to get some great experience, you want to test out a field, add something to your resume, they're just fantastic. And some of them are even paid. If you're feeling a little lost and confused, we do have something called Focus 2 in Handshake, which allows you to take a free assessment. You don't have to meet with a career educator. You can take Focus 2 tonight or this weekend or whenever you have time. And you can do some of those career assessment questions and answers, and it will start to recommend different careers that you can explore that might be a good fit for you. Vault is another great free resource for you. It's in Handshake. Don't go directly to these sites, go through Handshake. because then you'll get the free access. 120 different industry specific career guides. So if you're like, I want to learn more about consulting, or I want to learn more about human resources, or I want to learn more about, you name it, you can go to the Vault Guide and get incredible information. You can get day in the life articles by people who actually work in those fields telling you what it's like. There's videos you can watch where you learn about the different careers. So Vault is incredible in terms of learning about different professions, or even if you already know what profession you want to go into, you can practice or you can study up so that you will be practicing for interview questions such as, why are you interested in this field? Or what do you know about this industry? Vault is incredible for you. Going global, if you're interested in working abroad and that's still a part of your interest, or you want to work for an international organization, Going Global is amazing. It has incredible resources, including what resumes look like in different countries, excuse me, and a whole bunch of other information. It's incredible. So again, go through Handshake, click on Going Global, and use that resource. And finally, Interview Stream, which I've mentioned several times, prepares you for virtual interviews. You let the platform know what industry you're interested in, and it will bring up pre-recorded questions from that industry, as well as some general interview questions, and allow you to answer them right at home, wherever you're comfortable. It will record your whole interview, and then you can watch it back. And that is so telling in terms of how prepared you were and what you did well and what you didn't do well. You can also send that video to other people to get their feedback. Okay, so thank you. That will conclude the official portion of this webinar. I will get to the Q&A next, but a couple last minute asks of you. If you're not already familiar with our general website, career.ucla.edu, take a look at it. Great resources there that sometimes get overlooked. Join our social media platforms. Facebook, we're at the UCLA Career Center. You can find us at Instagram as well. And then you'll be in the know. So nothing will slip by you, because you get emails. You also get the reminders through the social media platforms. It's also a great way just to be in the know of what's happening with the industry, with hiring trends. It's fantastic. And then, as I mentioned before, use Handshake to its fullest. There's so much information. Okay, thank you so much. We got through it, and I saved plenty of time for the Q&A, which I really wanted to do to make sure that you were all set. So what we can do here is stop the share. Hello, everybody. And we'll hit the Q&A now. And so first I asked where you're joining us from. And so many of you talked about that, all the way from Japan to Idaho to NorCal. It's great to have all of you here. And then we're looking at some of the Q&A now. Let's see what we got here. What things do you recommend including in a resume and elevator pitch for freshmen that have limited UCLA experiences? That's a great question. So for people who have limited experience, especially college experience, when you're doing your elevator pitch, you can definitely refer back to high school. You were obviously a superstar in high school in order to get into UCLA. So talk about some of your accomplishments, the amount of time you put into all those extracurricular activities such as band or student government or Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, whatever it might have been. You can definitely refer back to that. You don't have to have a ton of college experience in a personal pitch. It's really just giving us a sense, giving the recruiter a sense of what you have to offer. And that experience can come in all kinds of forms: paid experience, unpaid experience. So those things can be highlighted from high school. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Should you wait for the career fair to apply to an internship or apply before the event? Really depends. If there's there's obviously deadlines that you have to meet, but if the deadline is not until after the career fair, I would typically wait until after the virtual career fair, because you will have more information to include in your cover letter that could be very relevant. You can also then have a contact and let them know, hey, I just applied. It was great meeting you. I just applied through the Handshake system. So I think if you can wait, if the deadline is not until after the internship and career fair, then I would wait until afterwards in general. That would probably be to your advantage. Okay, moving right along. Great questions here. Very impressed with your questions. Let's see. Okay, if I had a professor who currently works at the company I want to speak with, and I did well in his or her class, would it be a good idea to mention that during the one-on-one interaction? Absolutely. That type of name dropping is important. It shows that you have a connection already. It may open up a conversation. So somebody may say, "Oh, I know that person," or "Oh, that's really interesting. I've heard good things," or whatever it might be. So I definitely recommend that. Or let's say you have a friend who did an internship at that organization the previous year. You could certainly mention, one of my friends did an internship with your company and told me about the amazing projects interns get to work on. And that got me excited to start digging a little bit deeper into your organization. I did some more research, and now talking to you, I'm more convinced than ever that this would be a good fit. So definitely mention that professor or whoever you may know at the organization if you're fortunate enough to know somebody in that field, at that organization. Okay. Oh, we have something from a transfer student. I love my transfer students. Absolutely. This is a transfer student who's a senior, feels a little disadvantaged in the sense that I don't have as much experience as the conventional four-year student. How can I make myself stand out when I don't have any internship, clubs, or extracurriculars because I was working part or full-time while attending school? Okay. Thank you for that question. That's awesome. All of you in this situation where maybe you feel a little bit disadvantaged or you feel like you don't have the experience that some of the other students have, don't worry about that. Okay. Don't worry about the other folks. Just worry about you. Your last statement said I was working part or full time while attending school. Right there is your differentiator. You're somebody who works incredibly hard, has incredible time management. And so, what I would say is that I worked part time and full time throughout my college experience, and it really ingrained in me an incredible work ethic and elite time management skills. It was also, very resourceful because, I didn't have the opportunities, financially that some other students did perhaps, but I was able to afford my own college education, put myself through school, and still, do well in the classroom, or you do fairly well in the classroom. So what I want you to do, or anyone who feels like they don't have great experience because they didn't have the time because they were working, is just showcase what you have to offer. What makes you so resilient? What makes you a quick learner? Maybe you had 5 different jobs in 2 years. Well, that's a lot of new learning you had to do. And so that will give the organization a lot of confidence that if they hire you, you can adapt very quickly, learn very quickly. And there's no question that you're a hard worker working full or part time while going to school. So, what I want all of you to do is just really sell what you have. Do not downplay your experience. It has shaped you. Don't worry about the competition. And you'll be surprised at how many people can relate to those types of stories or feel inspired by them. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay, we'll keep moving. I'll take a sip of water. The resume review online website is VMOC, and you can find that through Handshake. So all of you should go and submit right away and get some feedback from VMOC. It's a great resource that we have for free for you. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Drop-in sessions. Yep. So you can access those through Handshake. You can also find the tab through our regular website, career.ucla.edu. Drop-in sessions, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time. Great questions. We'll keep rolling. Yes, this is being recorded as we talked about, and it will be uploaded onto the Career Center YouTube page. So UCLA Career Center YouTube. You can find us there, and you will find the recording of this in case you missed parts of it or wanted to go back and listen again. or view again. Okay, let's see. How vital or significant is GPA? Great question. Do most potential employers require your GPA most of the time? What is your recommendation if your GPA is only mediocre? Very common. Obviously, many students don't have the stellar GPA that maybe they had in the past or whatever. But one of the things I do recommend is that, well, first of all, let's go back and answer the question. For most employers, and we did an analysis at one point in time, GPA there wasn't a minimum requirement for a GPA 80% of the time for most jobs to be applied for. Now, does that mean that employers are not curious about your GPA or that's not an indicator to them about something about you? Well, no, it is still for some employers something they use for better or for worse to get a sense for your capabilities. Now, we know that it's not exactly fair in many situations to do that. But it goes back to my original point about your personal pitch, selling what you do have. So even if your GPA isn't stellar, you're not required to list it on your resume unless on the job application they said it was required, but most of the time it's not. So if it doesn't sell you or doesn't represent who you are in the best light, don't put it, but showcase what you do have to offer and really highlight the skills that you have and the other things you've done outside the classroom. There are plenty of people who maybe their GPA suffered a little bit, but they got great experience by working outside the classroom or being highly involved in a student organization. And for many employers, that can be even more impressive than a high GPA. Okay. So it's really your total package. All right, a couple more here. Well, so one question, this is a great question by someone who's interested in statistics about how many students actually get hired as a result from attending and making an impact at a job fair at UCLA. Honestly, we don't have a specific number to give you on that one. That's a little hard to track because a lot of times what may happen, and keep this in mind, you may make a connection, and although you may not get an immediate job offer from it, that connection, if well maintained, could lead to a job offer 6 months from now. And so, it's a little hard to track how valuable the exchange was. But I will say that these virtual career fairs, the employers that come are motivated, highly motivated to find talented Bruins to hire. They have people who are putting a little pressure on them to make hiring decisions sometimes and find talent. So they are definitely motivated. And so it's to your benefit to attend and prepare to do well. Okay, great. We're getting through these. Thank you for your awesome questions. I'm glad I saved time for all of these. VMOC you access through Handshake. Is a short sleeve polo shirt considered business casual? It can, in some instances, be considered business casual. It's kind of on the casual side of business casual. And since it's virtual, is it usually okay to just dress up at the top without having to wear dress pants? Yeah, as long as you don't stand up and walk around. I think many people are in that situation. So, but you never know. You want to be prepared just in case, someone comes and I don't quite understand why they would ask you to walk anywhere. So I think it's okay. But some people have forgotten and they don't turn their camera off and they stand up to grab something off the printer or whatever, grab a charger, for their phone. And then they reveal that they're wearing sweatpants with the, button down shirt. So I do recommend wearing the full outfit just so that you don't have any of those accidental errors that could occur. But again, just stepping it up at least somewhat will show to them that you took it seriously and that you're really invested in your future. All right, great questions. All right, so again, in Handshake, if you click on the Career Center tab and the Resources tab, you should be able to find all the virtual platforms I was talking about, Going Global, VMOC, Interview Stream, Focus 2. And if you have any, if you really can't find some of these things, you are more than welcome to give us a call and we can answer your questions. You can also obviously reach out, questions at career.ucla.edu. Questions at career.ucla.edu is another resource for you if you have questions that I'm not able to get to today because we are running a little short on time. Yeah, again, a question about an incoming freshman who doesn't have a GPA yet and the position requires a GPA. I would just use your high school GPA at this time because it's the only GPA you have. Same with a community college student coming in or a transfer student who doesn't have a UCLA GPA yet. Use your community college GPA. Career fair only happen once a year? No, we have several career fairs. Usually the bigger ones with up to 100 employers. We usually do those quarterly. And you can check the events tab and you'll see there's about 7 or 8 or 9 career fairs of varying sizes. Some of them are very industry specific boutique fairs, so to speak, but we have lots of fairs throughout the year. Again, Parker Dewey, I mentioned, micro internships, organizations contact Parker Dewey and list their micro internship, the project that they have, and then students who are interested in can apply for those various micro internships. And if you're selected, then you complete the internship, usually about 6 hours of work or so, and then you can make connections, obviously add it to your resume. It's really cool. All right, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so this is a great question. So what if you want to work at a company that's at the career fair, but they don't have an open position that you are looking for? Is it still important to attend the 30-minute group session or whatever it may be? Yes, I highly recommend it because those recruiters are oftentimes looking to fill the roles that they have open, but are also searching for potential talent that they could refer a colleague to, or down the line, if they have an opening, they can remember you, or you can stay in touch with them, or they can have your resume on file. So please definitely still attend. It's well worth your time. Okay. Let's see. I'm just trying to cover things that, okay. What's considered a good GPA? That's very subjective term, and it's hard to answer that one. So I would recommend what you do is think about if you feel like your GPA represents you well as part of your total package. Highly involved student, maybe worked part-time, tough major, and achieved, maybe a 3.2. That could still be considered, a very good GPA, considering all the aspects of your background. And so it's really hard to answer what a good GPA is, but what I want to recommend to you is to put it on your resume if you feel like it represents you well in a good light based on all the things besides the academic course load that you were involved in and how rigorous your major is or was. Okay. Great questions. We got time for maybe one more. So let me try to answer that. This is probably a really common question. How would you recommend we maintain our connections over time? A couple different ways. Number one, anytime you come across something that you think that person might be interested in, a really interesting article you read for class, a TED Talk that you watched, it's totally fine to send it their way. Dear such and such, I met you at the virtual career fair a month ago. It was a great exchange. I'm still definitely interested in your organization if you have more positions open up. By the way, I saw this TED Talk the other day, and I thought it might interest you because it was on this subject matter that your company is diving deep into. Or you mentioned that you play the piano and it's by this famous pianist. Great. Another way you can stay in touch is if you have an accomplishment and you've updated your resume, you can send it their way. I just wanted to update you with a more updated version of my resume. I actually finished this class online and won this award. And so those are now listed on my resume. Thanks so much again for meeting with me at the career fair a month ago. So those are a couple of ways that you can stay in touch. There are a lot more, but we're out of time. So I want to thank you for joining us today and wish you the best of luck at the virtual career fairs or fairs that you attend. And please take advantage of our resources. We are here to help you throughout your career and life design journey at UCLA. We want you to find meaningful opportunities that align with your strengths, values, skills, interests, and so that you feel fulfilled and you make a tremendous impact on the world. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon. Bye bye.